Have you ever stopped and thought, why does this keep happening to me? Why do you keep falling for the same kind of person? Why do you push people away the moment things get good? Why does success feel like it always slips through your fingers just when it's within reach? It's like life is stuck on repeat. Same song, same dance, just new characters. Carl Jung would tell you it's not a coincidence. Freud would say the story started long before you knew you were in one. And Joseph Campbell? He'd whisper that you're living out a myth, a script written deep in your psyche asking to be seen. Today we're decoding that inner script, because the patterns aren't the problem. They're the map to healing, to freedom, to a life you choose, not one that chooses you. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I keep ending up here? Same pain, different people. Same self-doubt no matter how much you've accomplished. Same lonely feeling even when you're surrounded by people who care. It's like you're living on repeat. Not because you want to, but because something deep down keeps pulling you back to the same places. That's not because you're weak. It's not because you're broken. It's because you're living from an inner script, a story that was written long ago before you even had the words to name it. Carl Jung believed that most of our lives are shaped not by conscious choice, but by the unconscious patterns we inherited, emotions we pushed away, stories we absorbed, wounds we never knew how to name. He said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Sigmund Freud saw these patterns as echoes from childhood. Moments that felt small at the time, but got etched into our nervous system like emotional tattoos. Maybe you learned that love means proving yourself. Maybe silence meant safety. Maybe being perfect was the only way to be seen. These early experiences became a kind of script. Unspoken, invisible, but powerful. And you've been acting it out ever since without even realizing it. And Joseph Campbell? He believed that every life is a myth unfolding, a hero's journey in progress. He said we each follow an inner narrative, passed down through generations, through culture, even through soul memory. But here's the twist. We're not stuck in these stories. We're meant to outgrow them. You repeat the pattern not because you're failing, but because your soul is asking you to finally see it, to witness it, to rewrite it. This video isn't just about why you keep looping back into old pain. It's about realizing you're the author now. You may not have written the first chapter, but you get to choose how the next one goes. And that changes everything. Let me tell you a story. You might recognize it. You meet someone new. At first it's exciting. You think, this is different. You feel seen, understood. But then something shifts. The tone, the silence, a moment that triggers something in you. Suddenly you're not just reacting to them, you're reacting to something older, something you felt before. And before you know it, you're back in a familiar place, confused, hurt, asking yourself, how did I get here again? That's the pattern. We all have them. They're the loops in our lives that seem to keep us stuck. Different characters, different seasons, same ache, same ending. And here's the truth. You're not cursed. You're not broken. You're just living a story that was written before you had the chance to choose your own words. New Moon, the pattern isn't random, it's remembering. Carl Jung believed that what we call bad habits, or toxic cycles, are actually unconscious scripts playing out again and again. He called these scripts complexes. Emotional imprints formed in childhood that hold energy, memory, and unresolved feelings. They live in the background, quietly shaping what we expect from the world. So when someone gets close to you and you suddenly pull away, or when things are going well and you somehow sabotage it, that's not just anxiety. That's your unconscious saying, last time love didn't feel safe. Let's not go through that again. Jung didn't say this to shame us, he said it to liberate us. Because once we bring that pattern into the light, once we become aware of the story, we can begin to change it. Freud's insight, the repetition isn't punishment, it's a cry for healing. Freud, for all his controversy, gave us a powerful insight. We repeat what we do not repair. He called it repetition compulsion. The unconscious drive to recreate the past, hoping for a better ending. It's why some people chase emotionally unavailable partners, because one day maybe this one will finally stay. It's why others push people away, because being abandoned first is less painful than being abandoned later. It's why some of us fear success, because deep down we don't believe we deserve it. Freud said we're not doomed to repeat forever, but we have to recognize what we're repeating and why. Because your unconscious doesn't forget, but it does forgive once it's seen, held, and healed. Sparkles Campbell's wisdom: you're living a myth, but you can rewrite it. Joseph Campbell looked at these repeating patterns through the lens of myth. He believed every human being lives out a personal story that mirrors ancient tales, the hero's journey. You feel the call. You resist. Life tests you. You suffer. But in that suffering, something awakens, and the journey begins. So when you feel stuck in the same emotional loop, Campbell would say, this is your call to adventure. The pattern isn't your punishment, it's your portal. The dragon you keep facing is not there to defeat you. It's there to reveal who you really are underneath the fear. Speech balloon: if this message is speaking to something inside you right now, pause with me for a second. If you've recognized even one pattern you're ready to break free from, seedling, tap the like button, share this video with someone you trust, and hit subscribe so you never miss another insight on healing, shadow work, and rewriting your story. Let's grow through this together. Candle: real-life patterns you might know by heart. Here's what these patterns look like in everyday life. You fall in love quickly but feel anxious the moment someone gets too close. You're constantly giving but feel resentful when people don't give back. You work hard, succeed, and then burn out over and over again. You always feel like you need to prove yourself even when no one's asking you to. You've tried journaling. You've read the books. You've said, this time will be different. And still the pattern returns. Not because you're weak, but because the wound still needs to be witnessed. These moments aren't setbacks. They're invitations. To pause. To ask, whose story am I still living? What do I keep hoping to fix by reliving it? What am I finally ready to let go of? Because patterns don't just show you where you're stuck. They show you what still needs love. Sunrise: from survival to self-authoring. The truth is, many of these patterns were born in survival. You became the peacemaker, the overachiever, the avoider, the caretaker. Not because you wanted to, but because you had to. But you're not that child anymore. You're allowed to change the role. To choose peace over people-pleasing. To choose joy over familiarity. To choose you. Joseph Campbell called it returning with the elixir. The part of the hero's journey where, after facing your fears, you come home different. Wiser. Stronger. Whole. And that's what breaking the pattern really means. Not just changing behavior, but reclaiming the parts of you that got lost along the way. Let's be honest, these patterns don't show up like grand revelations. They show up on Tuesday mornings. They show up when you don't text first just to see if they care. When you reread an old message you should have deleted 3 months ago. When you rehearse what you won't say in a conversation you'll never have. Patterns are sneaky like that. They don't always scream. Sometimes they whisper. Don't ask for too much. Stay quiet or they'll leave. You're only lovable when you're useful. And we believe them, because once, a long time ago, they kept us safe. But now they just keep us small. And the beautiful and terrifying truth is, you can outgrow them. Yes, you can laugh at them too. Like when you suddenly pull away from someone who was actually being kind. Or when you assume rejection before anyone says a word. That's your inner script trying to protect you from a story that no longer fits. The moment you notice it, that's the beginning of something new. Because the pattern doesn't get to define you forever. You're not the loop. You're the one who gets to break it and write something softer, truer, and finally your own. So maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're just living a story that was written when you didn't know you had the right to pick up the pen. You learned to stay small to feel safe. You learned to give everything and expect nothing. You learned to expect pain where love should be. But what you learned you can also unlearn. What was once survival can now become a choice. Carl Jung would remind you that your patterns are not your destiny. They are doorways to awareness, to healing, to wholeness. Freud would say your wounds aren't your fault, but facing them is where your freedom begins. And Campbell would look you in the eyes and say, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. So if you're seeing your pattern now, good. It means you're waking up. It means you're ready. Not to be perfect, but to be present. Not to repeat, but to rewrite. Because this story, it's yours now, and it's just getting started. If this video helped you recognize one of your patterns, drop a comment below. Backhand index pointing down, what's one script you're ready to rewrite? And if you're on this journey of healing and awakening, of choosing yourself, rewriting your story, and becoming more you, then hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone you love. This channel is your home for truth, depth, shadow work, and soulful transformation. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being brave. See you in the next one.